Well, the alarm bells, by the way, should be absolutely ringing right now. This Albanese government has seen its green schemes collapsing, right? And investors walking away, and in desperation today, announced it's going to loot our nation's super fund. It's going to bet that money meant to pay for public servants' pensions. It's going to bet some of that on net zero, on its net zero scheme. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said it's changing the mandate, the rules for this future fund. A $230 billion investment fund that's actually meant to earn as much as possible to pay for the unfunded super public servants. He wants to change it so that it will now look at investment and think, green, we should have more of that money invested in green schemes.
We have said to the Future Fund, and we've worked with them closely behind the scenes before this announcement today, to make sure that where they are weighing up investments which have similar rates of return and similar risk profiles, that it would be in Australia's interest to make sure we're continuing to build housing stock, we're continuing to get the energy transformation right, and we're hardening our infrastructure.
Jim Chalmers says, don't worry, the Future Fund's still going to make the same money. It's just saying, with the same return, if you've got two options, go the green one. But this, the opposition has been really fuming today, but I've got to say that this socialist approach was always going to come. Chalmers warned of this. He wrote in a much mocked essay a couple of years ago about how he was going to rescue capitalism after the pandemic. He wrote that how do we build this more inclusive and resilient economy, increasingly powered by cleaner and cheaper energy, with a new values-based capitalism for Australia. Jim Chalmers capitalism, where what he really means is that the government decides, not you, the government decides where your money gets invested, or actually spent. Now, the two previous chairmen of this future fund, former top banker David Murray and former Treasurer Peter Costello, they would never have agreed to this. In fact, both today lashed out. Costello, who actually created this fund, set it up when he was the nation's treasurer, said it would now be used as a political slush fund and would lose money. But today, the chairman of this future fund is Greg Combet, the former Labor Environment Minister, the man who gave us the carbon tax, and he's been all for using this money. He once said, we need this green investment.
Hundreds of billions of dollars in investment will be needed to achieve net zero. Green hydrogen, green metals, green manufacturing. There are opportunities like this in other industrial regions around the country.
You heard the problem there already. If this guy's now going to be investing the nation's savings on green schemes, because that first so-called opportunity he mentioned, green hydrogen, that's actually a disaster. Now, the government says, yes, green hydrogen, that's exactly what we want. A gas made by pumping huge amounts of wind and solar power through water. That is our big hope.
Our green hydrogen future is fundamental to that clean energy future.
But big energy companies like Origin, Woodside and Andrew Forrest Fortescue have since walked away from this government's planned hydrogen hub, saying it's just too expensive to make work. And so, there it goes. You see the problem. As soon as you base investment decisions on green dreams and unproven technologies that you'd really love to be true, you risk chasing dreams and not dollars. Well, joining me is a former chairman of that future fund that the government wants to loot, David Murray. David Murray, thanks for your time. The last head of the future fund, Peter Costello, has called this move a political slush fund. What's your reaction to the government's plan?
Well, that's exactly what this move of the government makes the future fund appear to be. It was never the subject of politicisation of its investments. It allows the government to invest in its own public projects off the budget, and that's not a good thing for the transparency of the future fund. It's not a good thing for their long-term returns. it undoes all the work of that we put in since 2006 to get this set up with a fantastic international reputation.